Immorality, anti-Semitism, and replacement theology are eroding the foundations of biblical Christianity. Hoyevel presents the Heartland Connection, where Christians are equipped to walk out the truth in God's Word and to support the land and people of Israel.
Shalom and welcome to the Heartland Connection. We're so happy to have you guys here with us today as we study God's holy word right here in the heartland of Israel. And not only are we here in the heartland of Israel, we have Orthodox Jewish Rabbi Yonadav here with us today. Welcome, Rabbi Yonadav.
Shalom, Zach.
All right, so this week's Torah portion is portion Matot, which means tribes. And we are in Numbers chapter 30, verse 2. And this week's portion starts off talking about vows and oaths. And so my first question here is, it seems like there's a lot of verses here dedicated to this particular thing, and it seems like God is really serious about these vows and oaths. So my first question is why is it that this is taken so seriously with the words that are spoken, these vows and oaths that are taken?
Okay, there are people that are very practical and think that the words are not a matter, are not doing nothing, but the deeds. Mm-hmm. If you did it, it's strong. If you talk, it's nothing. And that's not right. That's a mistake, because the advantage of the human being is his ability to talk. And the change in the world is because of the words, and the deeds are coming after the words. It's like in the one person, man, his mind and mouth are very little in his body. Mm-hmm. And one can think that the majority of his body, the hands and the legs and his stomach, and they are the important. And it's wrong, because his mind lead his body. So that's the importance of the words. They show, they reveal his mind before his deeds. And if someone don't give the importance to his words and talk without responsibility, he destroys his ability to make his life more significance, more good. So we talk here about the oath or the vows, but we learn here to give great importance to our words.
And that's really good, because there's the English expression, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. And there's like these ideas that, it's the action, like you said, that's the only thing that can actually do damage or do good. But words, they don't really mean anything. Show me who you are by what you do, kind of thing. And there's some truth to that, but seeing how powerful words are, and as Proverbs said, the power of life and death are in the tongue. But I like what you said about how it sounded like what you're saying is that basically the words is what influences our perspective, right? It's our ideas, and then those ideas are what we talk about. It's what we're thinking about. It's what we're talking about, and it's influencing people. It's influencing us. And so I think that's really interesting, that connection with our words and our ideas and how influential those things are. And I recently took a philosophy course, and just like a beginner's kind of thing. And it was really interesting to see how like ideas really have changed the world, and all of us are influenced by these thinkers and people who, you know, spoke about these different ideas. And I think it's really important for us to recognize that we are very influenced by ideas of other people and how they've been spoken, how we've heard them, and what our perspective is. So I think that's a really, really interesting point, and all the more so how important it is to get God's ideas in our minds, and so that when we talk about those and learn about those, it's so important.
Let's take two examples, one from the good side and one from the bad side. From the good side, the idea of monotheism. Mm-hmm. The Jewish people, the Israelites, had an idea they accepted from God. Mm-hmm. They had no the power or the emperors, or they had an idea. Mm-hmm. And without great deeds, like great nations, they changed the history, the faith of the nations. Mm-hmm. This is one example from the good side. And from the bad side, we know about Lashon Hara, the bad speakings. Mm-hmm. That we learned that bad speaking can kill 3 people. The one who talk, the one who hear, and the one who talked about him. Mm-hmm. And even we have tradition that the first temple destroyed because of 3 sins: paganism, idolatry, adultery, and murder. And the second temple destroyed because of bad speaking, because of hatred. Mm-hmm. The power of the words is like the most bad sins.
Wow. Well, that's really, really important. Yeah, and shows biblically and historically how important words actually are, that they make such a huge difference. And we should be very, very careful with what we speak. Okay, so next here, I noticed that it seems like there's 2 different things. In English, it's actually a little bit harder to see, I think. But it looks like there's a vow and an oath, or this seems like there's 2 different things. What is the difference between the 2?
Okay. Before I answer this question, I want to note about something you said in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Matot is tribes. Uh-huh. And that's right. Mm-hmm. This is the meaning, but this is not the exact translation. Because Matot is plural of Mate. Mate, the basic translation is a makel, rod.
Rod, like the staff.
Rod. Uh-huh. And because of the rod of the staff, the tribe called Mate, because the leader has Mate,
okay.
the president of the tribe, and he represents the tribe.
So it's almost like a scepter, or like a king's scepter, almost.
That's right.
Like similar.
Yes, or flag, or something that represents the tribe. Mm-hmm. So the name of the portion, according to the first verse, Matot, is, you're right, it's tribes, the heads of the tribes, but the precise translation is roads.
Okay.
So now I want to talk about the vows and the oath. Mm-hmm. There is difference. Vow, it's something that that I put on the object. An oath is something that I put on me, on myself.
Okay.
On both of them, it will influence me.
Mm-hmm.
But the way of the influence is different. Let's give example. If I will say, I will not eat this food, so I talked about me. I will not eat.
Mm-hmm.
The action is the matter. Mm-hmm. And if I say this food is like a sacrifice for me, so I should not eat. Not because I said I will not eat, because I gave this food position of something that I should not eat.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there are differences between the two ways. Like if I said I will sacrifice a goat, I should sacrifice, and even if the goat will die, I have to sacrifice another one. And if I said this goat will be sacrificed, so I should sacrifice it, but if it will die, I have no to sacrifice someone else because I said about this. So oath is my action, I will do something, and vow is to give position to an object.
Okay, interesting. Because I definitely wouldn't pick that up in the English, like what the difference was. So that's really good to hear that explanation on what the differences are. All right, so the next big question here is, it seems like there's a little bit different rules for the men and the women. So that's always interesting when the Bible gives a little bit different rules. Can you explain the different rules and then explain maybe why that there are different rules?
Okay. The regular situation of a woman is she's not independent.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, when she is child, like boy, she has no the ability to take vows. It's nothing. Mm-hmm. And then when she's a young lady, youth, it's different from a boy, because a boy can take vows and a girl can't. She's under her father. Mm-hmm. And if she took vows, if her father cancel it in the day that he heard, there is no vow. And then she's supposed to get married. Mm-hmm. And in the first step, when she is just engaged,
or betrothed,
yes, she's under both of them, her father and her husband.
Okay.
And they both have to cancel her vow. And after the marriage, just her husband. And there is another situation, if she divorced or she become widow, or even if she is adult without marriage, single, she can't take vows and no one can cancel it.
So she nobody can cancel, but she also can't make vows?
She can make.
She can. Okay, so if she
can.
makes it though, at that point nobody can cancel it.
That's right.
Okay, gotcha.
All her life she can make vows.
Right.
But the difference is if someone can cancel it or no one. This is the details, generally. And about the reason, it's hard to say, especially today with the culture that rule on our words.
Right. Can be very sensitive topic.
Yes, but we can talk.
Right.
And if someone don't want to hear, so he can not to listen. So maybe in the aspect of the Torah, the completely situation is marriage. And when there is spouse, family, the spouse need the two sides of the life. One side is the free words, the ability to say without a precise criticism of any word, to talk free. And there is a strength to this ability because you can describe your feelings and response situations more naturally. And there is side of a very considerated response and thinking everything before, and it's like to close your feelings and speaking and think everything before. And we need both of them in our life, in our family, and we have the advantage to have both of them in our family. If there is man, that he is more responsible and think and close his feelings until he will think about them, and the woman, the mother, that can take care of the feelings of the children and be more natural. So maybe this is the reason of this law. But now we can talk more about that. Maybe it fit the nature of the man and the woman. And maybe not. Maybe there are families that can be opposite. But statistic, more men fit to this side and more women fit to this side. But the needity of the two sides, both of them, is in every family.
I think that's really good because, and part of what I'm hearing you say is like, a lot of times in today's culture, we think very individually. Each individual has to be, a certain way or a certain thing. But now we're talking about the unit of the family. And if we look at the family as a whole, we have different parts that make it work really well. And if the children and the wife and the husband are all working in their proper roles, then the family works really well, the way that God created it to, and they are different. And it seems like in some ways our culture is just really afraid of that. Like, you can't be different. Everybody has to have a right to be the same. And it's this really strange thing and it seems like the big problem is they're not looking at it as a family unit or even as communities or nations or like all these different ways that God has created our systems to be and to work really well are kind of thrown out the window. And everything's looked at as a very individualistic kind of view. And so I think as you were talking there, I was thinking, wow, that's really what we're talking about here is a family unit, and you need different roles in order for it to work really well. And so it's not bad to be different. It's actually really good. God created it. His word talks about how it should be. This is a really good thing. I think sometimes in our culture, we're like, well, wait, how can that be? Is this good? Is it bad? But obviously if God spelled it out for us here. It's good. It's the right way. It's a good way. So I think that's really good, and to see the family as a unit and how it works together and how God created it to work together as being a good thing. All right. So if we move on in the Torah portion here in chapter 31, we have the battle against the Midianites. And some of the wording here kind of caught my attention. In verse 2, in English it says, take vengeance on the children of Israel. And I thought, okay, that's kind of an interesting way to word it. In general, we say it's not necessarily a good thing to take vengeance, to be, if somebody does something wrong to you, you should try to do good back to them, or like that kind of idea is a moral principle. But here God says, take vengeance. They were bad to you. You need to go and defeat them. So what's going on here, and what makes this situation right?
Okay. The vengeance, particular and generally every power in the world has its place. If you make it in the right place, it's good. If you use it in the wrong place, it's bad. Like cruelty and the opposite. Mercy. If you use mercy on bad people, you will destroy the world. If you use cruelty on good people, you will destroy the world. You have to use each in the right place, like that the vegans. And now I want to point some very interesting point. God told Moshe, take revenge, vengeance. Okay, thank you. For the children of Israel, it's vengeance of the children of Israel for them, right? Their vengeance, because something bad that the Midianites did for them. And then Moshe told the people on verse 3, לתת נקמת השם במדיין. The translation, to inflict Hashem's vengeance against Midian. Is that Hashem's vengeance or Israel's vengeance? It's very interesting. Because nation that fight against Israel, they fight against Israel and against God in the same time.
It's both.
Both. Because Israel represents the reign of God in the world, and someone who fight against Israel is because he doesn't want the morality of God. He doesn't want the demands of God. He tries to get free from the morality. So the Midianites, their vengeance is of God and of Israel.
Wow, that's interesting. It's really good. All right, so I have one more question here, because later on we get into the children of Reuben here in chapter 32. So the children of Reuben and the children of Gad had abundant livestock, and so they make a request of Moshe if they can stay on that side of the Jordan. So can you explain exactly what's going on here? Because it's kind of an interesting story. It's like they make the request, and it almost seems like Moshe kind of gets upset about it. He's like, wait, what are you saying? But then they come back and explain a little bit more, and then Moshe is okay with it. So can you explain what the request was and why Moshe was kind of upset about it at first, but then he ended up giving in to the request.
Okay, I think they stayed even after their conversation with Moshe, but he allowed them to accept their request. Mm-hmm. But let's try to understand the whole story. First of all, the Israelites are standing before entering the Holy Land. Mm-hmm. And in the opposite of the daughters of Tzlofchad, that asked property in the land, heritage of their father, and create a will in the world to inherit the land, they did the opposite. They said, "Oh, we want to stay here. It's good for us because we have a livestock, and here it's great place for that. Let us stay here."
So instead of encouraging everybody to go into the land, they're almost like discouraging them and
that's right,
holding them back.
That's right. And there are some problems in their words that reveal their failed intentions. The first we can focus on is the answer of Moshe. האחיכם יבואו למלחמה ואתם תשבו פה? I read the translation, verse 6. Shall your brother go out to battle while you settle here? It's a moral reason. How can you stay here while your brother will fight? Do you ask your private peaceful while your brother will fight? This is first first point that Moshe talk about. Another one is when they answer, they said on verse 16, ויגשו אליו ויאמרו, גדרות צאן נבנה למקננו פה, וערים לטפנו. I'll read the translation. Pens for the flock shall we build here for our livestock, and cities for our small children. And then Moshe answered on verse 24, בנו לכם ערים לטפכם וגדרות לצונאכם. I'll read the translation. Build for yourselves cities for your small children and pens for your flock. What's the difference?
He switched it.
He switched it. They said, they talked about the livestock before the children. And Moshe said, no. First of all the children and then the livestock. But it reveals something very deep. Their focus wasn't about their children. It was about their livestock. And that's why they asked to stay on the east side of the river. So Moshe tried to fix it. And also another fix that he tried to make is to add to them the half of the tribe of Menashe. The tribe of the daughters of Tzlofchad. It's like to say, learn from them. And also, if it's half of tribe here and half of tribe here, maybe they will keep the connection between the sides of the Jordan River.
So it's very strategic. thing by Moshe to set that up to where he's like, okay, we can't let these guys drift off on their own. We need to make sure there's good ties here to keep them focused.
Yes. And what was in the end? They exit to exile first.
Wow.
There is price.
So it was like the exact opposite. They were wanting their possessions and wealth and things, and they were the first ones to have it all taken.
That's right.
Taken away. Wow. What a good lesson. All right. Well, we have run out of time again. It's been such a great study. Thank you so much, Rabbi Yonadav, for teaching us. It's been a great study today. Thank you. And thanks to all of you guys who have listened. I hope you guys have enjoyed this as much as I have. It's been a great study. Thank you guys for listening. And if you guys have learned something from this study today, I ask you to share this with your friends and family. Get this word out. We want it to go far and wide. If you have any feedback, you can send me an email, zach@hayuvel.com. Would love to hear from you guys. Thanks again for joining us. May God bless you, and Shabbat Shalom from the beautiful, exceedingly good land of Israel.